Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited about this morning's devotion. I was reading this one and I thought, wow, this one is so perfect, so perfect. And I'm excited to share this with you. Again, we are reading out of the women's 3-minute devotions. This was given to me by my sweet friend Nicole from Lazy Creek Homestead. I have a link in the description box for this book off Amazon if you guys want to pick it up. I also will leave a link for Nicole's channel. She's super sweet, and she's got four boys that she is homeschooling and taking care of and doing all the things, and she's incredible. So let's get into today's devotion. This is one of my favorite verses. It's from Matthew chapter 6, verse 11. It is, "Give us today our daily bread." And it really has always spoken to me because we are people who like to stockpile things, and we don't stop and think. God gives us what we need every single day. We don't need to hoard things. We don't need to hold on to things because we can let things go and He will replenish us the next day with what He feels that we need. And if it's things that we think we need and He hasn't given them to us, it's probably not something that we need. It's probably something that we were wanting and would be nice, but God's like, no, today's not the day for that. So let's read today's devotion, and then I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, friends. I love getting to do this Wednesday devotion with you guys, and I would love each one of you that hears this or listens to this, that you would leave me a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on the devotion, on the verse. If it speaks to you in some way, let me know that. So this one, as I said, is on daily bread. In our mega warehouse culture, buying in bulk has become a trend that carries us over into the rest of our lives. We can argue that storing up on dish soap and paper towels doesn't bring some sense of security to our anxious hearts. So with our pantries full, we look forward to the unknown, very hope for similar circumstances. In our spiritual lives, this is an entirely different matter indeed. Our hands and hearts need to be emptied before they can be filled. God just gives just enough for one day. The truth is that no matter what false securities we create, it is God who takes care of us into tomorrow. In our empty sleep, God refreshes and renews us so that each morning we have what we need to face the new day's demands. His grace is not something we can stockpile, but rather something we can give away. Whenever we feel our hearts tighten over outcomes we want, we simply need to loosen up our grip and take rest in Him. Because we live in a world of independence and self-sufficiency, this faith feels awkward at first until we experience a joy unmatched by anything we can conjure up in our own heart. It is in these divine moments that we can throw open the cupboard doors of our hearts and give away anything that's there, knowing that tomorrow we will be full again. And that is just, like I said, that just speaks to me so much as somebody who loves to cook, somebody who loves to shop, somebody who loves to, make sure I have a full pantry and all these things. I get that concept. I totally get that concept. And I've always been one of those people that growing up, I was not somebody that liked to just rely on things. I didn't rely on my parents. My childhood was not a childhood where I could rely on them. I was pretty much self-sufficient when I was really little. And so that made it really hard for me as I grew up and as I started to grow in my faith, for me to really put off all of those things and really trust that God's going to take care of me every single day. But you know what, friends? He does. He takes care of us every single day. Everything that we need for that day, He will make sure we have it. But there's also another part of this that I think is also super important, that it comes in the asking. And there's another scripture also in Matthew that says, whatever you ask in my name, you will receive. And so we have to ask. So if we have things that we need for that next day, if we have things in the morning we get up and we're like, Lord, I need to have A, B, C, and D. We ask for those things. And if those are things that He feels that we need to have to get through that day, He'll provide for those. He will provide for those needs. Our prayer since Tony and I got married 3 years ago. Wow. We'll have our 3rd anniversary in just a couple of weeks. When we first got married and we were changing everything in our life, we had decided that we were going to put God first in our relationship and in our marriage, that He was going to be number one. When we made that decision, every single day became, Lord, give us today what we need. Not what we think we need, not what we, want. Give us today what we need. And he has been so faithful every single day to provide. When I left my job at the sorority house after almost 12 years there, that was a nervous thing for me because we'd been a 2-income household for a long time. And I really had to put my faith in God and say, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you that the bills are going to get paid. I'm trusting you that, the groceries are going to be on the table. I'm trusting you there's going to be gas in the car. I'm trusting you for all of these things. And as I went through that process of learning to trust him and learning to put all of these needs before him, it was kind of funny. He started showing me that there were things that I thought were needs that they really weren't. There were things when I said, when I was asking, Lord, provide for our bills, right? There were things that God showed me, you don't really need this. This is not a necessity. This is not you're paying this bill, but it's not a necessity. It's not something you need to have. And so we started really reevaluating those things and looking at what we were spending, what we were buying, all these things. We started looking at those things and realizing God's providing for the needs. He's providing for the things that we need. And there were times where we were blessed with something that we didn't even know we needed. We were blessed with something that we hadn't expected. And that was an incredible thing to happen. And that's what comes when we ask for our daily bread. We ask for God to provide for that day. We don't ask for him to provide for the month. We don't ask him to provide for the week or for the year. We ask him to provide for that day. And whether you do it at night before you go to bed and say, Lord, provide what you feel that I need for this next day, or you do it in the morning when you get up. We do, as you guys know, if you follow me, Tony and I do our devotion in the morning before he goes off to work. And that is our quiet time together for half an hour. We're reading the Bible plan with our church. And then we have some devotions that Tony and I read together ourselves. We also have some scriptures that we read every single morning together. And so we have our routine. But in the midst of that routine, it is always, there are things that we ask for, and they're not specific things. There are things that we ask for the needs of that day to be provided for. Whatever it is that he feels we need for that day, provide for that. We also, ask that he would help us to put him first. We ask that he would help us to glorify him with every single thing we do and say that day. We're not going to be perfect. We never are. But we ask for him to keep our minds and our eyes focused on him so that we can accomplish that, if that is what his will is. And so I loved this scripture to give us our daily bread. And I think our daily bread is not just, it says bread, but it's not just food. It is everything for that day. Every single thing that we need for that day, whether it is we need strength for that day, whether we need patience. I mean, come on. We all need some patience. I am one of those people. I'm not a patient person, especially when I drive. I'm not a patient person. But he gives us each of those things. So it's not we're just asking for food. We're not just asking for water. We're not just asking for those kinds of things. We're asking for everything. Patience with our children, patience with our spouses, understanding with people that come into our lives. That's like the verse, the devotion said, excuse me, grace. How often do we not extend the grace to somebody that we should? And that was something, and I'm not perfect either. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do this all the time because I don't. I don't, honestly. But I stop and think, who am I to withhold the grace from somebody else when God so freely gives me grace when I need it? I don't deserve it, but he gives it to me anyway. So who am I to withhold grace from somebody else? I am no better than him. And if he's able to extend that grace to me when I make mistakes, when I do things, when I have a thought of somebody in traffic and they've irritated me and I've had a thought that isn't appropriate, he gives me grace. And a lot of times he gives me grace for things that I don't deserve. And so I love that they take this scripture and it's not just about food, but it's about all of our needs for that day, every single thing that we need for that day. So friends, I hope this devotion spoke to you this morning. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. As I said, leave me some comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on that specific verse, on that specific devotion. What do you guys think about it? And I'm off to pick up hubby and run him to jury duty. He's had grand jury. He's on grand jury until April 10th, I think it is. So our schedule this last month, the rest of this month is just going to be insane. I'm running all over the place. So parking's horrible at a courthouse, and so it's easier for me just to drop him off and pick him up and do that. So our schedule this next month is nuts. I do need patience for that. So that is going to be my prayer. But friends, I appreciate each one of you guys. I love that you guys come and hang out with me on Wednesdays and listen to this devotion. I've heard from a couple of you that you really, really look forward to this devotion time together, and that means so much to me. Let me know in the comments if you guys would like to do this live sometime. I can try to schedule it for a different time during the day if it works out for people. If you would like to do the devotion live together. Otherwise, we'll just keep it with doing it like this. But I do enjoy getting to spend time with you guys and do this together, getting to get into the Bible together and hear something that is really meaningful to some of us on that day. And I know that sometimes when I read these things, it's something will come up later in that day that I needed to hear that. And so I know that's what's going to happen today. So God is going to show me something today that I needed to hear from him concerning this, and maybe I'll share that with you guys. So I just want to thank you guys all for spending time with me, and I look forward to spending next Wednesday with you guys doing another devotion together. You guys will join me then. Friends, as I said before, leave me some comments down below. Would love to hear what your thoughts are on this morning's devotion, and we will talk to you guys in the comments. Have a great day, and God bless.